Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dea Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So, grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to someone I met in the podcast cyberspace. There's no question that her message is in tune with our values, so I invited her to join us and share her stories. I'm Dea, your host. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. Welcome today's guest, Sherrika Sanders. Hey, Sherrika.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. We had such a lovely conversation before, so I know this is just going to be even better. So thank you.
We are going to rock cyberspace. Okay, well, let me tell you a little bit more about our guest, because that's just her name. Sherrika knows what it means to look successful on the outside while wrestling with belonging on the inside. For years, Sherrika Sanders thrived in corporate accounting, leading teams through mergers, IPOs, and high-stakes transformations. But behind the scenes, she often felt overworked, undervalued, and unseen, constantly proving she deserved to be in the room. Well, that breaking point became her turning point. Sherrika discovered that true belonging starts when you stop proving your worth, start owning it. Rooted in her faith, she learned to set boundaries, speak with confidence, and align her career with her calling. Today, she equips wives and mothers in leadership to do the same through her company, Transform the GAAP.
Yes.
Goals aligned, achieving purpose. She's also the host of the She Leads Boldly podcast and the author of When You Know His Name, a book that helps women leaders deepen their faith and step into their true identity in Christ. Whether in the boardroom or the prayer room, Sherrika's mission is clear. Women don't have to choose between faith and fulfillment. They're called to walk boldly in both. Welcome, Sherrika. Any additions, subtractions, or corrections? How was
Lovely. Oh, thank you. No, that was
said it, huh?
amazing. And honestly, something I needed to hear myself.
Yes, ma'am. So, as you know, this is about belonging, and I
Yes.
invite people on to tell their story of either finding belonging, and it can be from childhood when you didn't belong, or obviously in the corporate world, and then how you found it, and or how you're providing a community of belonging for other people.
Yeah.
But it is your time, it's your mic. Tell us what belonging stories you have to share.
Thank you. So I really needed to hear, I didn't realize I needed to hear it, but I really needed to hear what you were saying just now in my introduction, because sometimes we forget, we get so caught up in the now or the things that we see in the natural or what may not be going the way that we like. We forget the steps that we've already taken and how God has blessed us and provided for us. So that was definitely something that was an on-time message. And it's, definitely was my experience in corporate. It was always trying to prove, but I was always trying to prove because what I realized is, one, I didn't know who I was. I wasn't walking in whose I was. And the crazy part about it is, even though I didn't know the power that I had, others around me did. And so they took advantage of that.
Ah,
And so hindsight, is something that I now realize, and things they would even tell me, you're going to have to work twice as hard because you didn't go to this type of university. You're going to have to work twice as hard as a Black woman in accounting. Like they would say that and these would be the people that I report
Literally
to.
say that?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, ah,
And
damn.
and as they say, I drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, yep, it is hard. I don't have the traditional, background, forgetting all of the work that I've been doing and all of the accomplishments I was making and, all of these different things that were happening, but I was listening to the wrong voices.
Ooh, that's a takeaway.
Yeah.
What voices are you listening to?
And you know what? It's something that I even tell my kids now. Like talk to God and say and speak to him out loud. Use your voice because that way when something else is coming in, that those negative thoughts, that something telling you to do something outside of your character, you recognize it quickly because you're like, wait, that's not the right voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my voice. And that's not the voice that speaks to me. And so I think it's important to have that. But I just hit a breaking point and I was like, Lord, this environment isn't working. So where is it? What is it you would have me to do? And be careful when you have those type of prayers. Right, exactly. And so I fasted because I'm like, I really want to make sure I'm connected and hear what God tells me when he tells me, because I already knew he was going to tell me the next great corporate position that I was going to go to, and it was going to give me the freedom that I wanted and all of these things. So let me just make sure I'm spiritually in tuned so I can hear that
I
company
know
name.
what he's supposed to tell me.
Right, exactly, exactly. And he said entrepreneurship, and I was like, that's not he,
Uh,
Sherrika. Maybe he forgot. I don't, maybe because I had always said forever, I would never leave corporate, always W-2 employee. Some people were meant to stay in corporate. I am that person. Like, I'm not a risk taker and all of these different things. But it's like everywhere I looked, entrepreneurship. People were asking me about my business. I'd never talked about having a business before. People were asking me about my business. I was seeing different ads about a business coach. I never even heard of a business coach before, like all of these things. And I was like, Lord, are you really? Oh, okay. And I I took that step, and what at first I thought it was, oh, it's still to do accounting, just, on it's your way of giving me my own time. But it wasn't about that at all. It was more so about you've gone through this test that it will become your testimony. Your misery will be your ministry. And the Lord really telling me that he wanted me to take that person that I was when I was still in that corporate space, knowing that I wasn't where I was supposed to be. And that doesn't always mean physically. It could be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, any of those things. But knowing that I wasn't where I was supposed to be and helping them to get to where they are called to be and
mm.
getting to that next, whether that's staying in corporate, but speaking up for themselves, or whether it's, what, it is time to make a transition from corporate altogether or just to another company or another, whatever that thing is. But we sometimes, oftentimes, especially as wives and mothers, we have these other responsibilities. And we say, well, if I do this thing, I'm doing it for me and I'm being selfish.
Oh, lie from the pit of hell. Yes.
But obedience is not selfish.
Mm-mm.
And so now, and I love the term belonging because that's what the women that I help, that's what our community is. It's uh um women who are like-minded, who are connected over our life experiences, but appreciating the differences that we all have and that we all carry, and respecting that while your journey may not look like mine, we all have something in us to help somebody else.
That is so good. Well, why does God need two of one person? Each person is, and I,
Hmm.
I love the verse, for we are his workmanship created in Christ
Hmm.
Jesus for good works, which he prepared beforehand.
Yes.
So he's got what we're supposed to do, but he gave us the experiences that you went
Yeah.
through and your skills and your abilities so
Yeah.
that you could do what he's called you to do. And only they're tailor made for you.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't go over there and mess with somebody else's stuff.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And
Which is
we,
why we can
yes.
appreciate how
Yes.
everybody can be hearing from the same source,
Mm-hmm.
telling you what to do and to live in your calling, but
Yep.
all the callings are different.
Yes. And sometimes we get caught up, and that was me for a while. And even now I still hear people say it, you were in accounting all of those years for some reason, so you should be doing something in accounting. Okay, but who told you that? Because that wasn't the message that
I didn't get that memo.
right, right. And to be, I don't know if fair is the right term, but there is a part of what I do and in the women that I work with, we do some budgeting and we talk about finances, but from a spiritual perspective. We're not, let's go
Excellent.
over your income, let's go over your revenue, let's look at your profits, let's look. No, it's not in that space. It's in our relationship with God and putting the Bible first and how we should best steward what he gives us. And so, but yeah, you'll have so many people, like even with Transform the Gap. So I'll tell you, GAAP is a very well-known accounting term. And so I wanted my company name to speak to transformation, but also like a nod, I guess, to my background in accounting. And so in accounting, GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. For my business, as you stated, it's goals aligned, achieving purpose. And so I've had so many people to say, do you realize you spell GAAP wrong? Because it's GAAP.
But, oh, thanks for pointing that out to me. I never noticed that.
Right. I don't know how I missed it on my website, on my LinkedIn, on my like all of these different places. Thank you so much. And I remember one lady called me. We had like a networking call and she said, "Hey, do you mind if I connect with you after?" Sure, no problem. And she called me after and she was like, "It's really just laying heavy on my spirit that your name, your company, you really need to change your company name. It's too generic. Nobody knows what you're talking about. Everybody says transformation." And I was like, like, who are you? What is this?
Get thee behind me, Satan.
Exactly. 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 So, yeah, people will, and that's crazy. People will speak and walk so boldly in the wrong. And sometimes we cower back about our spirit and our relationship and about saying the name Jesus because we don't want to offend anybody and we want to be politically correct. And, that's not it has its space and that's not in the workplace and all of these things. But then we allow people to come into our space and say whatever they want and refute and reject our beliefs and
Right.
all of these other things. And now it's about stepping boldly in who we are and whose we are as well.
Well, everybody agrees that we're supposed to be authentic and be who we are and
Mm.
live in our purpose like you
Hmm.
promote.
Yes.
But why can't they accept that what my purpose is may not be what they like?
Right.
I mean, we don't need their approval for our purpose.
That's right. That's right. But
Hmm.
somewhere people seem to think that, but they don't
In
need
the
our
world.
approval. We only need theirs.
Right, right. Yeah. It's like um, everybody has the freedom to do what they want, except for it has
Hmm.
to be the way I want it done.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, I don't think so. We all answer to somebody way bigger
Yeah. Yes.
that is in charge,
Right.
creating what it is.
Yes.
It's like somebody trying to drive a boat take the boat, not on a trailer, but down the interstate when it's meant for a car and the manufacturer
Hmm.
says put it in water,
Hmm.
but oh, but I want to take my boat out for a
Yeah.
dock. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think
Hmm.
so. For those that might be listening that are interested in that leap into entrepreneurship, a couple of questions. How
Yes.
long did it? I mean, yay, bravo. I just want to celebrate you on taking that obedient step
Thank you.
in fear. How long did it take you to feel like you had made it?
So, um, I actually left corporate with a client. Again, though, I thought I was supposed to do accounting work. So I was doing accounting for firms, and things were going very well, very well. But what I also realized is I had taken a lot of my old corporate habits, the late nights, um, not really setting boundaries, a lot of those things into the entrepreneurial space. And finally, one day I was just like, you know what? Things are going very well. Very few people say I went into entrepreneurship and things are just this seamless, and we have just been really blessed. And I will
Why
say
you
I
gotta
was
mess that
always
up?
right, exactly. And I've always been afraid of fully surrendering to God, because everybody in the Bible that surrenders suffer, and I don't want to suffer. And so I was definitely the lukewarm slash even closet Christian, I'll call it. I would, say my prayers and things like that, but you would have to now, where I feel like I remember a doctor telling me it's something about your spirit that just it's something about you. It's something about your spirit. It's just you just glow. Hearing him say that versus hearing probably 6 months before that an old coworker say, I didn't know you went to church. I didn't know you were a woman of faith. And it was like, what have you
Oh,
been doing, Sherrika? Like, what is happening? And so I was just looking at how well things were going and how blessed we were. And I was like, Lord, number one, I apologize. And
mm.
I thank you for how patient you have been with me. But I also know that at some point, I'm going to have to truly take this walk. And so I surrender whatever you have me to do. I'll do whatever you have me to be, because I don't want anything to happen by force. I'd rather come to you as I should, because you have just, and it was true, he's
I
just
want to get
continued to
to know
bless
that
us.
will.
Exactly. You've blessed us in so many ways, and it just doesn't make sense for me to keep walking in this, waking up each day just doing whatever I want to do, ignoring that or acting like, because I knew it. And so I did that. And I also started that with a fast as well. And God said, okay, do you trust me? Yeah, we're great. Of course I do.
Look how good it's going.
And so probably it was within about 3 months from that conversation, all of my business went away. All of my contracts ended. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Um, my whole foundation was shook. But what I realized from that time, and I would have it no other way, there were a lot, I was going to a very bad place. And although like I didn't curse, I didn't drink, I wasn't going out, like, the obvious things that people look for, but I still wasn't truly committed. And there was some pruning, there was pride, humility was far from me. Just, there was selfishness, there was all of these things that were brewing up inside of me that he had to take away. And then he had to reintroduce me to rest, and specifically Sabbath rest. And I didn't bring you out of corporate into entrepreneurship to keep doing the same things you were doing. And so it was really just a time of of under really becoming intimate in my relationship with God and who he is, and how he sees me.
Mm, mm.
And now this is your purpose. This is what I have called you to do. This is the way, walk ye in it. And
Wow.
so I wouldn't trade that time for anything.
Wow. 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 So good. We have to stop here because we have a
Mhm.
break. But what a story. Thank you so much for sharing that. We will be right back with Sherrika Sanders in just a minute. Hey there. Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast, to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guests, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back with the amazing Sherrika. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And on the second half, I have my favorite 3 questions that I like to ask my guest, and you are well prepped and ready. The first question is, what do you consider as your greatest accomplishment?
So this is going to sound a little cliche. And it's so funny because I've heard people say like, oh, it was the day I had my children, or okay, that's great, but that was God. And, but for me, and now knowing who I am and walking in my purpose, I don't know that that greatest day is there yet because I'm still here. I'm still living, which means there's more for me to do, more for me to become, more for my calling. And so, um, while I don't think I have had my greatest accomplishment, I can tell you that the greatest one to date was when I took what I used to call a risk, but that leap of faith into entrepreneurship, because it was something that I know was not me. And it was true obedience and truly relying and saying, Lord, I trust you. And why I no longer say risk taker is because God is not a risk. Betting on God, it's a guaranteed win. So I would definitely say leaving what I now realize was my Egypt, which was corporate America, and
Ooh,
stepping boldly into this new space. And that doesn't mean there was no fear, but I knew who was in
right,
control.
right.
And so
You
I
had to take
think,
the promised lands and
yes,
you had to go fight the giants.
yes, that's right. That's right. So that step of obedience has definitely been, and God has honored it and blessed it throughout. So I would say that to date, it's my greatest accomplishment.
And how it could be anybody's greatest accomplishment to say yes
Yeah.
to, as you help women do,
Yeah.
walk boldly.
Thank you.
Yes, I will walk boldly. And it may feel full of fear, but, you know, God goes before us, prepares the way, goes beside us along the
Yes.
way, and behind us to
Yes.
clean up our mess.
Yes, yes. And I'll even tell you quickly, when as we mentioned earlier, I have a podcast, She Leads Boldly. And it started because everybody kept saying, if you have to build a like, know, and trust factor, and you have to show up on video and post on social media and all of these things. And I can have a conversation like this all day long, but when I would try to have one just speaking in the camera, I would fumble over my words and all of these other things. And so I was like, Lord, how do I do this? And then he gave me the idea of, well, don't make it about you. And so I started kind of sort of interviewing. It was 15-minute clips. And they were posted on LinkedIn, and it was called Expert Opinions. And I would ask only one question: what is it that you know that we should know? And it was other entrepreneurs' way of telling about their business, but it was also exposing them to my network and me giving them that same exposure, and me getting that same exposure from theirs. And so many people were like, oh, I loved your podcast. I saw your podcast. It was a great podcast. And I'm like, I don't have a podcast. It's not a podcast. And I just kept hearing it. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then someone even said, well, why don't you just continue to do your podcast? Completely ignoring what I said. Just continue to do your podcast and just have it catered to the women that you help and the women that you serve. And I was like, that's a great idea if I were to do a podcast. And so finally, I'm like, okay, Lord, and in one of my weekly business meetings with God that I have, and I was like, okay, Lord, is there anything in my business in this business, your business, that I'm doing and I shouldn't be, or something that I should be doing and I'm not? it just helped me remove all fear, all of my own whatever assumptions or what I believe things to be. And can you let me know? And so I had my time, which is normally some scripture reading and praise and worship. And after that, I went and picked up my phone and I went to YouTube. And the first thing on YouTube was, this is how you start your podcast. These simple steps, here's step by step exactly what you need to do to get started. And I was like, what? No.
Anybody else up there?
Right. And I was like, really? And so that was on a Sunday. By Wednesday, I had my first episode. And we've been going at it every week. And it's such a blessing. Such a blessing.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Knock, knock, knock.
Yes.
Hello, anybody
Yes.
home? And so it's always easier when you look back to go, why did I even question God? I mean, because
Right.
it's his
Right.
plan. He's going to make it work because God doesn't
Right.
fail. Why are we so? But when we're looking at that long distance
Mm-hmm.
have to make, it's like, I don't think I can. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, excellent, excellent, excellent. And on to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you feel like you belong?
So now uh I've created my table and created my community of belonging. But I had to get to a place of finally realizing, because at first I thought it was in corporate and trying to fit in and trying to do the things that I needed to do to be accepted by others. But one of the things that I now realize is that the only one that matters is God. And am I accepted by Him? And if I'm accepted by Him, then that's all that I need. And if I carry him wherever I go, then I set the atmosphere for the table that I'm at. I set the atmosphere for the room that I walk in. So now, yes, I belong because that spirit that's within me, that glow, so to speak,
Mm.
pulls the right people in. And we are able to connect over our beliefs. We're able to connect over our commonalities, whether it's being a wife, whether it's being a mother or a volleyball mom, or having our churches may be close to each other or live in the same community, whatever it is. But realizing that belonging is not being accepted by man. Belonging is truly being accepted by God and being obedient to Him, which then allows us to belong wherever we are because He is with us wherever we are.
Oh, so well said. So well said. So many pictures are running through my mind. I don't know, I've never been in the actual presence of royalty, but you see it in movies and TV. But when someone that's royal,
Mm-hmm.
they walk into the room and they
Mm-hmm.
carry themselves with this boldness and they're
Yes.
leading, and
Yeah.
we're royalty.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely we are.
And so why don't we lead in that royalty of
Yeah.
our Father God the King?
Yes, we're heirs to the throne.
We're heirs to the throne. So let's
Mm-hmm.
walk around in
Walk
our
in it.
princess outfits.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, that
Exactly.
boldly. And it's only when we know our identity as heirs to the throne.
Yeah.
When we know that identity, we can
Mm-hmm.
walk boldly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't decide
Absolutely.
whether you're the court jester, or the princess. I don't know. I don't know. You're kind of schizo. But let's walk boldly. That's so, so good. So
Yeah.
good. Belonging to yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Then and I like you've made a number of references to your uh, fasting and just time alone with God.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make that happen? Because the world is so loud.
It is. It's loud, and you have so many people who try to tell you this is how you should do it. Oh, I get up at 4 o'clock every morning and I do this. And your relationship is your relationship. And at first, I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going to get up at 7 because I won't be sleepy then. And I'll get up at 7 and then I can give you probably 30 minutes and then I need to, move on with my day. And all the way wrong. But what I realize is
You do have children, right?
yeah.
So that just X's that plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what I realized, there was a part of me that didn't have to make that sacrifice of being intentional. I'll call it that. So I knew that my household started getting up and moving around 6:30 or so. So I would get up at 5, and I didn't set parameters on the time. I set parameters on the intention. And so
Good. All right, say that again because that is worth hearing again.
yes, the parameters were not set on my time. The parameters were set on my intention. And so what that meant is that whether that time was 20 minutes, an hour and a half, and sometimes I would get them out and come back for another, hour or so if needed, but it was what was needed in that time. Sometimes it was praise and worship. It may be prayer. It may be reading my Bible. It may be all of the above, but it was truly just connecting and having those conversations, but also making sure that I was quiet so I could hear what he had to say to me, because oftentimes we talk and talk and talk and talk. Lord, I'm praying, I'm this, I'm that. You're not answering. And he's like, well, if you just pause,
Shut up.
just give me just a minute.
That's why it says be still and know
Yes.
that I'm God.
Yes, yes. And you have some people, and there were mornings where I would get up and I would be sleepy. So on those mornings, I kicked it off with praise and worship, because you can't fall asleep while you're having, praise and worship and listening. And so some mornings, that's how I would kick it off. And then I would go into prayer, or then I would go into reading the word. But I allowed the spirit to move and navigate that space for me, because maybe it was a word that I needed. And so then God would direct me to the Bible. And also a lot of people get caught up in well, the thous and the this, and I don't understand. Well, there are so many translations. One that I hear a lot of people, a friend of mine recently started reading the Bible, and she was like, it was just like reading a story. And she uses the New Living Translation, but there are
Mhm.
so many different ones that you can use that can speak to you at whatever point you're at, and as you build up to the King James and the other things. And there's so many different resources too that can help explain like what certain chapters mean and certain terms, and even show you maps of this is where they were and this is what that place is in present day, and all of those things to help you understand. And if you truly, truly say, Lord, I really want to spend time with you, you'll realize over time that 15 minutes isn't enough. 20 minutes isn't enough, because you yearn for that time, and you yearn to talk to him throughout the day, and you just stay within that space. And that's really what it's all about, because that's how he guides our steps, our decisions, the things that we do and say, and have us saying like, I didn't even normally I would have, cursed that person out if they would have said that to me, but it didn't even bother me. Yeah, because you're now walking in the spirit.
Uh, such such good words. Go back, if you're listening to this, rewind and listen to that again. But what I want to point out about all that is you belong to yourself,
Mhm,
comfortable in your own skin,
mhm,
and you found how it worked for you.
mhm.
You weren't downloading from the internet or printing out stuff from
Right.
all the, things you can go online to this is how you're supposed to do it.
Exactly.
Is anybody telling you how you're supposed to have a relationship with your spouse? No, now you have to have
Mhm,
lunch at this time and you have to talk about this at this time and make sure
mhm,
you wear this when you
mhm.
know why? Because that's not what it's about. It's a relationship.
That's right.
And how do you have with who you are have
Yes.
a relationship with your spouse or your best friend or
Mhm.
even your child with who
Yeah.
they are? It's unique because we're
Mhm.
each unique. So the point is get with God and ask him what you're supposed to do.
Mhm. Yep.
Good
And he will
word, good
direct you.
word. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, third question. What is your favorite quote?
Mm. So I saw this shortly after stepping into entrepreneurship, and I was like, this is it. And it's by Jamie Kern Lima, and it's, you're not crazy, you're just first. And so often I mean, Think about Noah, how he could have used that. Rain. What is rain? He's crazy. No. Well, he was
Right.
also obedient, but you're just first. And so thinking about so many things and so many situations where people try to give us their opinion, or how we just allow the opinions of others to dictate what we're supposed to do. And God tells us to do something, but it seems so crazy. Why would he have me to do that? Just be obedient and go. And you never know. It's just, we fail to realize how amazing the results are when we're obedient. But we get
Yeah.
so caught up in our mind and other people's opinions and all the naysayers and all of this other stuff, and we get stuck in a place. But what I don't want is when that time comes and we're at the end of days and God says, this is what you were, but this is what you could have been. This is who you could have been. This is the impact you could have had. All of these people were people that I called you to bring to me, but you never stepped up.
Wow. We do want to hear, well done, good and
Yes,
faithful
sir.
servant. The
Yes.
faithful part is the saying the yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're not crazy. You're just first.
I'm going to plaster that all over the place. That is, it's so good. So good.
Thank you.
Well, I can't believe it. We have come to the almost to the end. But before we close, Sherrika, do you have any parting words or final things you want to say to the belongers listening?
First, thank you for this time and sharing your platform with me. I greatly appreciate it. But also, just to the person, I'm not, even though I work with wives and mothers, I'll say to the person who's feeling that nudge or you're feeling uncomfortable in whatever space you're in, take it to God. Ask him, what is it that you want me to do? What is it? What is my assignment? Am I doing something I shouldn't be doing? Am I not doing something that I should? And please know that he will speak to you and he will speak to you in a way that resonates with you. So, if your friend has prophetic, yearning, that may not be your calling. Yours may be a billboard that you see when you're going down the street, but make sure that you're open to hear from him. God honors obedience over sacrifice. And
Oh,
sometimes we get so caught up and saying, well, I gave my
did
tithe.
this.
Right. I always give. I give to the homeless. But are you being obedient?
That's a good word.
And
That's
so
really good.
it would be that. Just do a check-in. I call it that. Just do a check-in.
A quiet, sit there and listen,
Yeah.
wait for the answer, because he will.
Yeah.
Another verse that comes to mind, open my eyes that I may see wondrous things in your word.
Hmm.
If you're confused about what you're reading, say, this doesn't make sense, God, help me see it. He
Yeah.
wants us to, and he wants us to ask,
Yeah.
and he
And
wants to
when he
say
tells
yes.
you, then listen, then move.
Mm.
Because the greatest disservice you could do is for God to tell you to move, to do something. And you say, I'm not worthy. I'm not capable. I don't know how. So now you're saying your lack is so much greater than his power.
Ooh, say that again.
Your lack, and let me clarify, is not greater than his power. If he's telling you to do it, he's going to make sure you're able and equipped with the know-how and the provision to do that thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and here's the secret. There is a God, and we are not him.
Right.
It goes back to thinking we're more powerful than God.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
we're not.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Remember to get the title of your book. Where can we find your book?
Thank you. So when you know his name, which is Discover Identity, Intimacy, and the Power of Prayer through the names of God. And it can be found on Amazon. And right now you can get it for a great price. So definitely pick it up. My contact information is in the back. I would love to know what you all think about it.
I love that. And listening to the podcast, especially one episode in particular, I think we had a good time on it.
Yes, she leads boldly every Wednesday. Listen in. We have some amazing conversations coming up. Wink, wink.
To our amazing guest.
Yes.
Thank you, Sherrika.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong. This is Dea Irby with Here Where You Belong podcast signing off. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Here Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.